All right, let's talk about something we have all dealt with. You know the scene, you're doing the dishes, and suddenly the water just stops going down. Your sink is turning into this gross, murky pond. It is probably one of the most annoying things that can happen at home, right? Well, today, we're going to break it all down.
I mean, have you ever really thought about it? Why is it always the kitchen sink? You've got other drains, right? In the bathroom, the laundry room, but nope, the kitchen sink is the one that always seems to give up first. So what's the deal? Is it just bad luck? Well, turns out it is definitely not your imagination.
Yep. Number one, plumbers will tell you, without a doubt, the kitchen sink is the most clogged drain in the house. It's like the undisputed heavyweight champion of clogs. And the reason is actually pretty simple. It just has to deal with a whole different level of, well, stuff that other drains never see. It really all boils down to what we're sending down there every single day.
Okay, so let's get to the bottom of this. To really understand what's happening, we got to meet the main villains of our story. Think of them as the four clogged culprits, the usual suspects. They team up to bring your plumbing to a grinding halt. So let's unmask these guys one by one.
All right, first up on our most wanted list, culprit number one is grease. And let me tell you, this stuff is public enemy number one for your pipes. It's the mastermind behind most of the worst clogs, and it's super, super sneaky. So here's how it gets you. You pour that leftover bacon grease or cooking oil down the sink, and it's a liquid, right? No big deal. But once it gets down into the cold, dark pipes, bam, it completely changes. It solidifies, turning into this thick, sticky paste that just clings to the inside of your pipes. It's basically laying down this horrible, sticky trap for everything else that comes after it.
Okay, on to culprit number two, which is basically grease's partner in crime, food scraps. We're talking about all those little bits and pieces we rinse off our plates without even thinking about it, figuring they'll just wash right on through.
Now this is so important because a lot of us think the garbage disposal is like this magic black hole where food just vanishes. But it's not. Think about it. Coffee grounds, they don't just dissolve. They pile up like wet sand in the corners of your pipes. Pasta and rice, they love water, so they swell up and get all bloated and mushy. And then you've got things like celery or potato peels. Those fibrous bits can get tangled up and create these stringy nets. And where do they all get stuck? You guessed it, right in that sticky layer of grease we just talked about, forming a serious roadblock.
Okay, our third suspect is a real sneaky one. It's a slow burn, a problem that builds up over time, and honestly, most people never even think about it. And it's ironic because it's the very thing you use to get your dishes clean. Yep, soap.
How crazy is that? The very soap that's supposed to cut through grease can actually cause problems. So the fats in the soap can have this weird reaction with the minerals that are naturally in your tap water, and together they create this waxy, filmy residue. It's like it paints the inside of your pipes with this layer of gunk, making the opening narrower and narrower, which, of course, makes it a perfect surface for grease and food to get stuck on. And that brings us to our last culprit, number four. Now this one is totally different from the others. We're not talking about a slow, creeping problem anymore. We are talking about instant, total chaos. Yeah, we're talking about foreign objects. So while the other three are like these slow-moving conspirators, a foreign object is just a brute. It's that bit of paper towel you thought would dissolve, a twist tie, a bottle cap, or that classic moment when a spoon just slips right down the drain. These things don't build up. They create an instant dam. Boom. Nothing's getting past that. So, we've met the whole gang, but the real story is in how they work together. It's a team effort, really. So let's take a look at the anatomy of a clog, how a brand new, clean pipe turns into a total plumbing disaster. When you see it laid out like a timeline, it really makes sense. You start with a perfectly clean pipe in week one, water's just flowing freely. But then, by month one, that first sticky layer of grease and soap scum has already formed. By month three, that passage is getting narrower, because now food scraps are getting snagged on that sticky stuff. It just keeps building on itself, kind of like a snowball rolling downhill. And then wham! By month six, you've got a serious blockage, and water can barely even squeeze past. That wide-open pipe is now just a tiny, clogged-up tunnel. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. These small offenders build up, creating stubborn blockages that can turn a simple wash-up into a messy inconvenience. That's it right there. It's almost never one single thing that causes the clog. It's the slow, daily pile-up of all these little things, these small offenders, that create that one big, messy problem. They might seem harmless one at a time, but believe me, together, they are a force to be reckoned with.
Okay, but here's the good news. Now that we know who the bad guys are and how they operate, we can actually do something about it. Because, knowledge really is power. Understanding how these clogs form is the #1 way to stop them from ever happening.
So let's just do a super quick review, a mental checklist you can run through. Remember your drain's 4 biggest enemies. You've got grease, which solidifies and clings. You've got food scraps that gather and trap. Then there's soap scum, which coats and narrows. And finally, foreign objects. They block instantly. Just keep those 4 things in your head next time you're at the sink.
And really, that's the question I want to leave you with. So, what are you sending down your drain? Now that you know the culprits, you've seen their playbook, just take a second to think about your own habits. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to your pipes, what you keep out of the drain is so much more important than anything you could ever pour in to try and clear it.